Hey everybody, welcome back to Summer Stop Drinking. I am Summer and this is all about how to navigate a sober vacation and still have an amazing time. In this video, I'm going to talk about some tips on how to stay sober on vacation and also some of the benefits of having a sober vacation, because ultimately it can be so much more fun. All right, so I've been fortunate enough that I've had a few fun trips / vacation time lately. A few weeks back, I went on a trip to San Francisco. I had a camping trip just this week. And I also had my birthday recently, so I took some vacation days off of work and just stayed home and did some fun things around my hometown. So I was able to do all of this and stay sober, have an amazing time, and I want to talk about how you can do that too. Okay, so my first tip is to have a plan. Make the decision ahead of time that you're going to go on this vacation and stay sober. Now, I know that this can sound like a bit of an oversimplification or just really obvious, but if you take that will I, won't I struggle out of the equation, then you're not spending your time while you're there wondering if you should drink while you're going to this dinner, if you should drink while you're doing this activity. It's already been decided. And again, I know that can be an oversimplification, and I know that the reality of that can feel a lot more difficult, but I still think that strongly making that decision ahead of time can be really helpful. All right, my next tip is to be proactive. If you're going out to dinner, look at the menu ahead of time. See what drinks are available to you. Decide ahead of time what it is that you're going to order to drink. Now, once you get to a restaurant, say no to the wine menu. Just say, no thank you, I don't need that. And for whatever it is, if it's not going out to eat or if it's going out to do some kind of excursion or whatever activity that you're doing, just kind of take a look ahead of time at what that's going to look like, what you can drink while you're there. Bring drinks, your own non-alcoholic drinks, to whatever occasion if that's appropriate for that activity. So just be proactive and know ahead of time, ahead of each thing that you're going to do, what you're going to be drinking. And that way you are just set. You don't have to worry about it. You're not frantically searching the menu. You're not looking at a wine menu going, You already took care of that. You already looked at it. You were proactive ahead of time, and that can be very, very helpful. Okay, so my next tip for sober vacationing is to make it an active trip. I know a lot of times when I would go on vacation in the past, I would just sort of spend a lot of time laying around drinking, and that would be my activity for the day. I'd be by a pool with a drink in my hand, or I'd be in my hotel room with a drink in my hand, or I'd be, on a beach or at a campsite or wherever I was with a drink in my hand, and that was my activity for the day. So my suggestion is to try new things, make it an active trip, do things that you wouldn't have ever done in your drinking days, and that can just completely replace that whole feeling of how vacationing used to be with something new. Go on hikes. Go on biking trips. When I went to San Francisco recently, I walked across the Golden Gate Bridge for the first time. I'd been to San Francisco before many, many, many times, but I'd never walked across the Golden Gate Bridge. I spent a lot of time walking around and just being more active in general, and that was really fun. When I had my days off at home, instead of just laying around drinking, I decided to go kayaking. I live in a beach community, so I tried kayaking once, maybe 10 years ago. But now I've done it twice in as many weeks, and it's my new favorite activity. So I just crossed the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm a little bit afraid of heights, so it was a little scary, but it was fun. It's just left me thinking so much about how every other time I've gone on a trip of any kind, vacation of any kind, I'm always day drinking. And day drinking sounds so fun in theory, but it leaves you totally, completely zapped of all energy, all motivation. Going to a really nice dinner later, and it would probably like leave me feeling sick or not very hungry for dinner. It's just cool how I've spent the day walking around, adventuring, doing different things instead of day drinking and then getting sick and not wanting to do anything else. Another amazing thing that I was able to do when I was in San Francisco was to check out this place called the Ocean Beach Cafe, and they have a huge selection of non-alcoholic drinks that they both sell that you can take with you or that you can drink while you're there. They had this really cool thing called the SoBar experience where I got to sample all sorts of cool, interesting non-alcoholic beverages. And places like this are popping up all over the country if you're in the US and all over the world, really. So take a moment to research where you're going and see if something like this is available to you where you are headed for your vacation. Okay, my next tip is to have a trusted companion on hand. Now, hopefully you're in a situation where you can go on vacation with someone that you can tell that you are not drinking and they can help you if moments get tough. If you're not in that position, if you're going with other people who are drinking or who you don't really feel comfortable deeply discussing these things with, you should still have a sober friend on hand that you can text or call, and that can be really helpful in those tough moments too. All right, and my last tip is give yourself a pleasant place to come home to. Now, I know when we're getting ready to leave and go on vacation or go on a trip, it can be hectic. You can leave things in a flurry, clothes everywhere, all sorts of things everywhere, dishes out, who knows what. But I made sure that I had my bed made. There were no dishes out. When I got home, I was just so happy to be home. Everything felt pleasant. Everything felt safe. It eliminated stress for me, and it also eliminated some of that feeling of letdown that you can have if there's something you're really looking forward to and it's over. That feeling in itself can feel really difficult, and it can trigger a desire to drink. So if you give yourself a really pleasant environment to come home to, that can be really helpful as well. All right, now on to the benefits of a sober vacation. Now that I've experienced it, I just think it's about 1,000,000 times better than a drinking vacation. I really, truly do. So the first benefit is your day starts earlier. You can do more things. You're not hungover. Even if you're not an early bird or an early riser while you're sober, your day is still going to start earlier because you're not wasting it being hungover and feeling terrible. So even if you're just relaxing in your hotel room or wherever you are, that's still more time, more vacation time spent relaxing or going out and doing fun activities. So that's an amazing thing. The second benefit, and this is a big one, you save so much money. I don't even want to think about the amount of money that I have spent on alcohol on vacations. Depending on what you're doing or where you're going, if you're in a vacation destination, prices for cocktails are just crazy. When I was in San Francisco, I went out to several really nice dinners and they were expensive. But I would have spent probably hundreds more if I had been drinking and I'd been ordering cocktails with my dinner. And that brings me to another benefit, is that food is so much better. Food tastes better. You're not drinking all day and then feeling sick by the end of the day if you're going out to a nice dinner. Instead of spending money on booze, I spent money on appetizers and desserts. And so my whole eating experience when I went out to dinner while I was on vacation was just so much more pleasant, so much more fun, so much more enjoyable, and so much more delicious. Another benefit to having a sober vacation is that you handle stress so much better. Drinking can cause a lot of anxiety. I know a lot of us drank to handle anxiety and to handle stress, but ultimately it makes things so much worse. It makes anxiety so much worse. I had a couple of occasions on my vacation to San Francisco that I went on that were very stressful for me. The airport was very crowded when I left. Currently, we are still in pandemic times when I am filming this. So yeah, it was crowded and that was really hard for me. But I know that if I had been drinking, I I do have actual anxiety. I do have a diagnosis of anxiety. And I really feel like if I had been drinking a lot, I would have had a panic attack. Instead, I was anxious and I was stressed out, but I didn't have a panic attack. Also, on the way home, my flight home got completely canceled, and they were trying to put me on a flight the next day. I was really stressed out about that, but I was able to remain calm. I was able to navigate the situation. I was able to figure out a way to get home earlier than what they were saying. And I know that if I'd spent the whole trip drinking and I was hungover, I don't know how I would have handled that. The stress would have been through the roof. I might have been much more short-tempered, and who knows how that situation would have turned out. So if you're not drinking on a trip, whatever stressors are thrown your way or whatever kind of wrenches in the plan occur, because it always occurs, you're able to handle them so much better. And it's not this big catastrophic thing that it can be if you're hungover or drunk. And the last benefit to having a sober vacation that I want to talk about is the fact that you don't have to face some real life consequences that can occur if you are drinking on a vacation. Now, I've heard some horror stories. I've experienced some horror stories in my drinking days. But the most simple of which is just that when you're drinking, you're more likely to get into arguments with the people that you're with. You're more likely to do something stupid, spend more money than you mean to, all sorts of little things that can make the trip far less fun, far less pleasant, far less relaxing than you would want a vacation to be. You know, you don't want to look back and go, oh, that was fun, except for that last night where I got into that horrible argument that I kind of can't remember. And that kind of thing has happened to me when I've gone on trips while I was drinking. When I went on my San Francisco trip, I remembered everything. I was able to react in ways that made sense. I was able to be true to myself, and I didn't do anything stupid. I didn't do anything that felt horrible, that I felt embarrassed about. I just enjoyed myself. Same thing for camping. You know, I just enjoyed myself. I don't have to look back and go like, oh God, I can't believe I did that, whatever it was. I was in control of myself the whole time, and that feels so good. I had more energy. I felt physically better. I was able to experience fun new things, and it was just better all around. One of the things that I wanted to note is that I went camping at 5 months sober, and it was miserable. It was miserable. I had a horrible time. I wasn't ready. I strongly associate camping with drinking, and that first time that I went, like the first day, I was just thoughts about drinking, intrusive thoughts on repeat in my head. I wish I could drink, I wish I could drink, I wish I could drink, over and over and over again. So what I wanted to note is that this harkens back to in my first video, in my top 5 tips for early sobriety. So check that out if you haven't seen it yet. One of my tips is don't be afraid to say no. So don't be afraid to postpone things. If you're not ready to go on a vacation at first, it's okay, you can wait. But now I am really enjoying myself. I am kind of past that initial stage where I'm constantly thinking about drinking, and I'm actually having a beautiful time. I am on the beach right now. About to go in the water, but just wanted to say hey. Okay, so those are my tips, tricks, benefits to a sober vacation. It's so worth it. It's so much more fun, so much more relaxing. It's just better in every way. That's how I feel about life sober in general. It's just better in every way. And I hope that the next time you go on vacation, or you go on a trip, or even if you just have some vacation days and you're staying home, you keep some of these things in mind and you're able to stay sober and have a blast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for another video next Sunday. Subscribe, like, share. Thank you so much.